Hey, what's up, team? This is Eddie Gray. We're back at it again, talking about the correlation meter and the importance of it and how it corresponds to the loudness level in your song. This is so often overlooked, it blows me away. And so now we're going to cover it. So before we actually investigate, do our proper research and try and get the right answers, I want to actually get informed on what a correlation meter is. Now, this is not DAW specific. This applies to FL, Ableton, Pro Tools. So let's learn about the correlation meter. A +1 correlation value indicates that the left and the right channels correlate 100%. In other words, the left and right signals are in phase and they're in the same shape. And so what that means is when your correlation meter is all the way to the right, is that really everything is in mono without necessarily saying it, but the left and the right signal are exactly the same. The next one, correlation values to the right of the center position indicate that the stereo signal is mono compatible. And we know how important that is when it comes to playback, as somebody is listening through car speakers or at the mall or at the club. Usually these things are playing out in mono. You want to make sure that your tracks are mono compatible. The middle position indicates that the highest allowable amount of left and right divergence, meaning difference, which is often audible as an extremely wide stereo effect. So really, you don't want this to get past the middle. Anywhere from the middle to the right is great. Now, on the same token, you don't want this to be all the way on the right. It's nice for it to move back and forth, meaning that everything is playing well and everything is also mono compatible. When the correlation meter moves to the left of the center position, now it's out of phase, or at least there's a material that's out of phase. This leads to phase cancellation if the stereo signal is combined into a mono signal. So if you've ever heard that, you're playing something back in mono or one speaker and then it's just out, not even there. So this is called phase cancellation. All right, enough of the left brain work. What exactly am I talking about? Well, when I play this back, we're going to see that this song is in a good position. Everything is playing well. Let's look at the correlation meter. Here we go. Okay, so you can see everything is working according to plan. This is fantastic. I'm stoked about it. RMS levels are where they need to be. The LUFS is fantastic. So I went ahead and bounced this to audio already. I have it ready for you. The next thing I did was I intentionally messed up the imaging. I made it so that the correlation meter was out of whack. And look at what happens, okay? So something that a lot of producers don't mention, a lot of creatives don't mention, is that the correlation meter is directly connected and correlates to loudness. And so it's very important to make sure that this is speaking the same language so that when anybody and everybody listens to your song, it sounds top notch, it sounds competitive, and it's loud. All right, so then now I also bounced a version with the out of whack correlation. And now when we go into expose by mastering the mix, look at what happens, guys. The one on top, look at the LUFS, the integrated LUFS. It's negative 13.9. And the one below that, the only thing I changed was the stereo image, and look at that, it's quieter. I didn't touch any dials when it comes to volume and such, and you can see that it completely sets it off. And so if you ever want to make sure your song is as loud as it can possibly be, you're going to want to take a look at the correlation. It's very important. Let's try and do another example really quick. I'm going to use... Let's use Logic's stereo spreader. I have that under imaging, and I believe it's called spreader. Okay. All right. So let's try and mess this up. Now, by the way, before I show you this, let me render this and call it test number 3. I just want to make it clear that correlation and phase can be out of whack and out of sync due to bass issues, due to frequency. And so you're going to have to investigate. One of the things that I personally always do is I'll set up a direction mixer if I need it, and I'll make everything below 200, 180, 130, depending on the song, 70, 80 hertz. I'll have a cutoff, and I'll make everything below that frequency mono. And not only is it going to tighten up your mix, but you'll notice that it actually gets significantly louder in the process. So if your music isn't as loud as it can be, the very first thing that I want you to try out is that. The next thing that you're probably going to have to try out is allocating all the frequencies, making sure that the subs are sitting where they need to sit, mids are all where they need to be. And that will be an experiment, right? It's not always going to be the same thing, but it's something you could try out, and that'll help a lot. And then the last thing, unless I'm missing something, go ahead and throw it in the comments. But something else that you can do as well is you can check if your imaging, if your stereo widening is too much, right? Are you doing too much in the high end, in the mids, and especially in the lows? I find that everybody makes the lows way too wide. Hence, the correlation meter is not lining up properly, and hence your track is certainly not as loud as it can be. So here is track number 3. We're going to drag it into the sesh. And what do you know, team? There you go. Same thing again. Didn't touch volume. All I did was touch the width, and it's completely messed everything up in terms of how loud it can be. We're talking about the potential of loudness, right? You know that up here we have negative 13.9, which for a song like this is a great LUFS to hit. And nowadays with streaming standards, you really have to be on point. So hey guys, thank you very much for watching. The importance of the correlation meter. You got to get hip to this. It's very important. If you like the content, all we ask is that you share, right? This channel is all about contribution. I wanted to thank all the new followers on the comments section. You guys are giving me a lot of love, asking so many questions, and I'm doing my best to make sure that we are on top of things and you guys are getting the information that you need. So thank you so very, very much. We'll catch you on the next one, team. See you later. Cheers.